Federal government hands over 64 100 capacity CNG buses to labor and student unions.
Over $175 million worth of investment has gone into this sector already.
Nigeria at 64, messages of hope resonate at interdenominational church service.
Undoubtedly, the Nigerian nation is defined by resilience. To the challenges of modern-day governance, we have continually shown our indomitable spirit as Nigerians.
Vice President Shettima returns to Abuja after attending 79th United Nations General Assembly in New York.
Good morning, Nigeria. Today we begin our conversation on Nigeria at 64.
Jumai, Nigeria will be 64 tomorrow. How do you feel?
I feel good. It's a journey that has, been through turbulent times, but we're saying that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. That's good. Tuesday, October 1st marks a significant milestone in Nigeria's history. Nigeria turns 64 since our independence from British colonial rule.
And that's true. And as we celebrate this momentous occasion, we reflect on our journey so far, from the struggles of our founding fathers to the present-day challenges and triumphs. The Nigerian story is one of resilience and determination that has stood the test of time.
But as we commemorate this anniversary, we also confront the present issues that will shape our nation's future: economic growth, security, corruption, and the quest for good governance are some of them.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, Demola, we begin our conversation on Nigeria 64. We shall be discussing the state of the nation. We will also explore the legacies of Nigeria's independence, its relevance today, and the impact of economic policies on ordinary Nigerians. We expect our guests to share their insights and experiences, offering unique perspectives on Nigeria's progress and prospects.
Well, Nigeria at 64. Jumai, let me ask you again. Where are we now and where do we go from here? One pertinent question I'd like to ask you is, if Nigeria were to be a human being, how would you describe her at 64?
Well, I would say resilient and vibrant individual with a rich cultural heritage. And that is Nigeria. We can't take anything away from that.
Okay. That's good. So, I'm Ademola Adeoye. Welcome to the program. And Jumai.
I'm Jumai Yusuf. Tomorrow we celebrate our 61st birthday anniversary, and we begin our conversation today. And I tell you, it's going to be quite interesting. Just sit tight and enjoy it. Don't forget, in the course of the program, Chukwudi Okoli Vaja will be with us for our newspaper review. But first, let's join Dennis Adeguloye for this morning news. Hello, Dennis, and congratulations as the best newscaster on NTA 24.
Thank you very much, Jume, and good morning. And good morning to you.
How do you feel, Nigeria 64?
Definitely, well, there's always, as you said, light at the end of the tunnel, and Nigeria is certainly a work in progress, but under the current administration, there's certainly space for optimism and looking forward to a brighter future for the country.
Good.
So, good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. The federal government has officially handed over 64 compressed natural gas buses with varying capacities to leaders of the organized labor and students' unions. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, accompanied by fellow ministers, emphasized this initiative aligns with President Bola Tinubu's commitment to transforming Nigeria's economy into a sustainable and progressive force. This development is part of the presidential CNG initiative, aiming to finance 200,000 new CNG buses and tricycles across Nigeria by 2027. The deployment of CNG buses promises a cleaner, safer and more cost-effective transportation solution, echoing President Tinubu's declaration of a new era in Nigeria's public transportation.
More and more Nigerians, technicians especially, are being trained. So it's a whole gamut of arrangement that will benefit all spheres of, all sectors of this country. All Nigerians will be felt. This is beginning from those who need the most, the working class. The working class are going to get this. But beyond that, other Nigerians are also going to be the market people. Everyone, artisans, everybody will now feel this impact.
A special church service held to commemorate Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary has echoed messages of hope and resilience for Nigerians, with leaders projecting that the nation will overcome its socio-economic challenges shortly. The service, attended by top government functionaries, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo, served as a platform for reflection and unity.
The Nigerian nation is defined by resilience. To the challenges of modern-day governance, we have continually shown our indomitable spirit as Nigerians.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived back in Abuja after successfully representing President Bola Tinubu at the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. During his time at the UN General Assembly, the Vice Presidents presented Nigeria's national statements at the general debate, engaging in crucial bilateral meetings and various sideline events. As Nigeria prepares to celebrate its 64th independence anniversary, Vice President Shettima will join President Tinubu for commemorative events. This significant milestone reflects the nation's journey since gaining independence in 1960. President Bola Tinubu has appointed Joseph Olasukanmi Tigbe as Director General and Global Liaison for the Nigeria-China Strategic Partnership. This development follows the President's visit to China in early September, where significant agreements were reached between the two nations. Tigbe, a distinguished professional with a first-class degree in civil engineering from the Obafemi Awolowo University, will report directly to the President. As a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, he brings a wealth of expertise to his new role. Leading day-to-day operations, Tigbe will oversee the partnership's daily activities, ensuring seamless collaboration with Chinese counterparts. In the Strategic Action Plan, he will submit a comprehensive plan to maximize benefits from the Beijing agreements, outlining specific deliverables, timelines, and key performance indicators. In Nigeria's priority projects and investments, he will identify vital projects, projected investments, and expected socio-economic outcomes, aligning with Nigeria's national development goals. President Xi Jinping pledged at the 2024 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, promising significant financial support with 360 billion yuan, approximately 51 billion US dollars, earmarked for African nations over 3 years, alongside support for 30 infrastructure projects aimed at boosting connectivity and creating 1 million jobs. Tigbe's appointment underscores President Tinubu's commitment to strengthening Nigeria-China relations and harnessing the partnership's potential for socio-economic growth. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has launched a nationwide crackdown on drug trafficking, resulting in significant arrests and seizures. Two notorious drug kingpins, Jiboye Samuel and a community leader, Alhaji Bashir Talba, are among those apprehended, alongside 2 ex-convicts and an auto parts dealer, Ejiofor Nnameka Chibuzie, who attempted to export heroin and cannabis hidden in lead lamps and sofa legs. Key seizures in the interception of international shipments by the NDLEA were various drugs, including tramadol, pentazocine injection, and cannabis en route to the US, UK, Canada, Australia, Thailand, and Oman. NDLEA conducted operations in several states, including Lagos, Kogi, Katsina, Niger, Kano, Plateau, Oyo, and Edo, seizing substantial quantities of illicit substances. The agency's efforts are part of its ongoing war against drug abuse, sensitization lectures, and advocacy visits nationwide. Well, those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Ademola and Jume after this commercial break. Please don't go away.
Nigeria is at the threshold of another milestone in its history as the country is set for the celebration of its 64th independence anniversary on the 1st of October. This year's celebration with the theme, Nigeria at 64, reflecting on the past, inspiring the future, affords the country the chance to reflect on the journey of nationhood and assess the task of nation building.
There's hardship, but how did we get here?
As this year's celebration coincides with the country's 25 years of unbroken democracy, the task of engendering an inclusive governance that caters for every segment, especially the youth, is now.
We've sustained 25 years of democracy this year. We don't want to keep the people hungry and angry.
Nigeria at 64, reflecting on the past, inspiring the future.
Do not waste time. Put your baby to breast within the first 1 hour of delivery to give that first yellowish milk colostrum. Colostrum has all the important nutrients your baby needs to start a healthy life. Colostrum also helps to protect your baby against diseases. Remember, put your baby to breast within the first 1 hour of delivery. This message is from the ANRIN Project, Federal Ministry of Health.
Is this the new one?
Yes, ma'am. And each portion contains 5 grams of protein, 2.66 milligrams of iron, 414 IU of vitamin A.
Copy that. You're coming up, bro.
Move.
Mommy, is that what I think it is, Mommy?
Yes, it is, baby.
You are the engine of your family. They win because of you. Will them to win every day with the goodness of Golden Morn. Golden Morn, make every day golden.
From Nestle.
We all get that party where they get your back anytime or day. E go carry a matter for head like say na your own. Now so Go TV tanda for your side as your party for correct enjoyment. We not a tear pocket. For this Go TV Super Plus Golden Window, you fit touchlight all the 380 Premier League games, correct local shows, and better film. We day for you. Make your sharply upgrade or recharge your Go TV on top Super Plus to enjoy every today. The Super Plus Golden Window don't come out money now. Not do yourself, oh. Go TV. Love it.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, we undying deeper, we bet solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
And Chooks the boy is here. Good morning, Chooks.
I hope I look entirely.
You look chookish.
Boyish today.
You look
different. You look like a boy.
Oh, yes. You see, it's in the attitude.
It's in the feeling.
You
it's
push
in the
70,
mood.
you're still looking 40-ish. It's in the attitude.
Yeah, it's in the attitude.
Stop running into
Nigeria will
old
be
age.
64 tomorrow.
I am 3 years older than Nigeria, come to think of it.
Yes, I remember you always tell us you were there at the Independence
I'll be
Year.
67, December 5. Even though I don't feel it.
You don't feel it.
Yeah,
you don't feel it like Nigeria doesn't feel it.
I don't know whether
so
that's
tell
the
us
comparison I want to.
So tell us what it was in 1960 when Nigeria gained independence.
Well, first of all, I was one village man. My mom would send me to go and buy crayfish. I was in one pair of pants most of the time, sewed with khaki, and the rope with which you tied it around your.
Yes.
Some of it will be trailing. You'll be trailing some of it, almost sweeping the floor. And your mom would say, before this saliva dries, make sure you come back with that crayfish. We were good children then, and it was. That day, on Independence Day, they were selling Make Me Well. You know, that's what we call something like buns, meat in it.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Make
They
Me
don't
Well.
sell those things anymore.
How much was it then?
Maybe you
Less
could
than a
get,
kobo,
you could
right?
get like 4 for 1 penny.
Oh,
You know, that time. Yes.
The British
not
penny.
Oh, yeah.
is it?
The British
You didn't
penny,
know the
yes.
British,
Okay.
the Queen,
British
the
penny,
Queen's
yes,
bust
yes,
was
yes.
on it. You know,
Yes.
it was a sweet, it was sweet sensation if I may use that.
But what
It
was the
so
feel? What
good.
was the mood like on that day? Can you remember?
Oh, the mood was the green, white, green was inside us. Nigeria, we hail thee. Even if such a fly was, eating you up on one of the cheeks to dare
You
not
cannot
touch it.
dare bring your hands
Because
down.
you are singing Nigeria, we hail thee.
Yes.
I don't know whether 64 years on, whether it has all panned out the way we thought, we hoped it would.
Well, Nigeria is a grandpa
But
now.
God did,
Yes.
my namesake.
Yes.
Like
Let's-
Dennis said, it's a work in progress.
It's work in progress.
But that's what it is.
And I said there's a light at
My
the end of
people
the
will
tunnel.
tell you, only we work and
Yes.
just. If you join vexation to the problem on the ground, hypertension will become your friend.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
a good one. Let's
So-
quickly go to the papers. I'll begin with the People's Daily. And just below the masthead on People's Daily, ASU gives 14 more days ultimatum to federal government over strike. And Taraba ex-governor Ishaku in AFCC net over alleged 27 billion naira fraud. At the bottom plate of the People's Daily, Shuaibu planning to forcefully enter government house. Edo government tells IGP. Security experts laud CDS for establishing theatre operation in Northwest. Details on page 7. Vice President Kashim Shettima returns to Nigeria after anger outing in New York. You find that on page 4. Tinubu appoints Joseph Tegbe as China-Nigeria Partnership DG. You find all that on page 19. And 4 teenage girls drown in Jigawa River. Find all the details on page 5. All theft won't deter our 3 million barrel goal. That's coming from NNPCL. And the picture story you see there, dignitaries at the 64th Nigeria's Independence Day cake after Thanksgiving service yesterday here in Abuja. Let's quickly go to the Blueprint newspaper now. And above the masthead, NIMET predicts 3-day thunderstorms nationwide from Monday. You find the details on page 7. And below the masthead, most Nigerians enjoy 20-hour daily power supply. That's coming from the Minister of Power, Adelabo. And NPFL, Rivers United, PIP, Enyimba, tornadoes held at home. And the headlines, FG hands over 64 CNG buses to NLC, TUC, NANS with riders to distribute 2,000 CNG tricycles to youth. And it is a promise kept, says the Information Minister. You find the details on page 6. Police organizers dialogue over October 1st protest. FG monitors to forestall chaos. Activists give conditions. Constitution review. Senators unite on LG autonomy. Differ on state police. Find the details on page 8. 13,800 illegal refineries oil pipeline destroyed. That's coming from the NNPCL on page 7. Dangote Cement leaves SMEs in Nigeria. Details on page 23. Flooding. Kebbi receives 3 billion from federal government on mitigation. And Obasanjo behind my impeachment. Ex-Governor Ladoja opens up 18 years after. Sedemola? Sorry.
Thank you. I have the Daily Trust newspaper with me, and just below the nameplate, local government LG uncertainty in Rivers, PDP as Fubara's allies effect to APP. Excuse me. Then you have the Constitution review. Northern Southern senators disagree on regionalism. Media Trust donates 10 million to Maiduguri flood victims. Details on page 8. Residents now disagree as airstrike kills cause in Kaduna. 23 worshippers among victims. Locals, we only hit terrorist-based. Air Force and state government is silent on the incident. Details on page 4. Bandit adopts NURTW chair. Health workers 3 kids in Kaduna. Details on page 5. Property burnt as tanker explodes in Bayelsa. Details on page 6. Federal government hands over 64 CNG buses to Labour and NANS. Details on page 40. Then we have this story. Heart diseases spike. Fuel sudden deaths in Nigeria. Then we have the details of that story on page 3. Chooks.
You know, it's not mere tokenism. You know, we journalists have an assignment to keep government on their toes. But please, when government works, also come out earnestly. When you talk correctly about your neighbor, even if it's your neighbor, you feel good inside. The 64 CNG buses should be applauded. It means we are moving forward. And it's not just giving it to labor that makes the news. The news really is transporters are now looking toward that mode of fueling of the vehicle to see whether it makes business more manageable and profitable too. And at the end of the day, affordable to the commuter. So we should not just let it, give it passing mention. It is work in progress. I keep on saying Chukudi likes the way this government is going. But the journalist in me also says, well, we're trying to see that the cup is half full of water, half empty of water, not half full.
And gatekeep them.
You were given money for three water projects. Why are we seeing just 2 on the ground? That's the way we are. It's on behalf of the Nigerian people.
Keep them in check.
But this is commendable.
Yes.
I wanted to start on that very positive note. But
and they're also going to distribute 2,000 CNG tricycles to you.
That's a good one. We are moving, albeit slowly, almost snail speed. The alternative is chaos. May we not have that. That's it. Residents NAF disagree as airstrike kills cause in Kaduna. And the first thing that comes to your lips is, no, not again.
Not again.
It's not collateral damage. No. You're targeting somebody in the process of taking that person out, those close by, that's collateral damage. This one sounds like mistargeting. But my problem is that they are saying that NAF and residents are disagreeing.
NAF says they are not responsible for it. That is the terrorist.
So who done it?
So there is no
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's what NAF says.
I didn't
They are
read
not
this.
responsible for what?
I didn't read the story in
for
depth.
the air that kills the scores.
I didn't read the story.
But it was terrorists that killed the scores?
Yes,
I didn't
that's
read
what
this.
NAF is saying.
I didn't read the story in depth, but because we are journalists, we begin to ask questions. If we say they are terrorists, and you're saying it's airstrike, the journalist's mind goes to, are they flying aircraft now? Is that the next level? So if you say it's airstrike, my mind is going to tell me it's not likely to have been done by terrorists, except if you're saying that they now have the F-16s and the Alpha
launchers,
jets
yes.
and all that. So the handling of information when calamity like this happens
Public
does a
relations.
lot. Very
PR.
messaging is very important. I say it concerning some of the people who work for Mr. President. They have to learn how to talk so that the good work coming from the presidency can
Information management, right?
That's why NIPR is always saying, bring your people, let us train them so that they can be able to counter issues like this, situations like this.
I hope my friends, our colleagues who are aides to politicians are not going to relay me. I tell people the journalist may not be the best person to go and be a presidential spokesman.
Yes.
Public speaking. Tony Blair, when he got out of 10 Downing Street, went into public speaking. He knows how to talk. You must learn how to talk. Very important. It's not a Chukwudi Oyibo repete. No.
Are you a Toastmaster?
I'm a Toastmaster. God made me so many things. I didn't know which one to pursue. Maybe that make me no get money. So we really feel bad that our fellow men and women have again perished without intent on the part of the NAF. If the NAF did it, we must always introduce a caveat. Since this is the situation we have,
they did it.
We are not sure. Speculation we don't want to bring into our job. You understand? In quotes.
Then we have this heart diseases spike, fuel, sudden deaths in Nigeria. That is worrisome.
When you mentioned heart disease, you take me back to the days I practically cried out of the University of Benin teaching hospital, because they asked me, why does your father still laugh? And Professor Febu told them, it's because he doesn't believe he's going to die. The minute my father saw me coming in tears, he started dying gradually.
Yes.
They said he has just about 34 beats. That's even those are too few beats for even a baby, let alone a grown-up man. Why does he still laugh? I told them he has incurable optimism. That's the way he is. His own was complete heart block. So when you mention heart disease, I want to say whatever is causing it, we must all go out to work against it.
And not self-diagnose it saying it's ulcer.
That's it.
It is not ulcer.
Cholesterol,
when you feel pain around the heart,
when cholesterol begins to block the passages for your blood.
The expert says it's poor diet, sedentary lifestyle, smoking, high sugar in meals, and environmental pollution. They are the major contributors.
Incidentally, the way our life is economically does not quite help your diet.
Doesn't.
Sometimes the one was here chop. You understand? So
you just eat what you see.
Exactly, my brother.
You're so busy, you forget.
I was saying the other time that this end hunger strike would not have happened. Protest would not have happened if it was if Ekba and Agbado had come out because they rescued us to some extent.
Yeah.
So I'm a village boy. I have to say it the way it is.
Living in the village is the best life. You have fresh air, no pollution, you eat what you want to eat.
Do you know that it's one of the things that they mentioned?
Yes.
So when you live in the village, you walk to the farm, then you walk back.
You actually watch that squirrel scrambling up that branch of trees, and you salute nature.
When you wake up in the morning, you clean the house, you exercise, and the air is fresh.
You are not living up to anyone's expectation. It is you and nature.
If
Some
not
people
for-
don't know how to
yes,
enjoy their
if
life.
not
though.
for insecurity, the village is the best place to go and live now.
Okay, maybe you should go there.
Yes,
Juma.
I have always dreamt of owning
Well,
a ranch where I would
well,
build my
in
house.
that case, I dare say
Yes,
that you
yes,
look like a
yes.
sophisticated villager.
Yes.
Well, in that case, we draw the curtain now.
You throw me out as
Thank
usual.
you, Chukudi.
God bless you guys.
All right, thank you, Chooks. We'll
Thank you.
See you tomorrow again.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman Interministerial Committee on Nigeria's 64th Independence Anniversary, Senator George Akume FNIM-CON, wishes to announce the programs lined up for the celebration of Nigeria's 64th Independence Anniversary with the theme, Reflecting on the Past, Inspiring the Future, as follows. Presidential broadcast Tuesday, 1st October 2024, time 7 a.m. 64th Independence Anniversary Parade, Tuesday, 1st October 2024, venue Presidential Villa, time 10 a.m. All invited guests are to be seated by 9 a.m. Announcer Mohammed Idris FNIPR, Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, and Chairman, Media and Publicity Subcommittee.
Is this the new one?
Yes, ma. And each portion contains 5 grams of protein, 2.66 milligrams of iron, 414 IU, ma, of vitamin A.
Copy that. You're coming up, bro.
Move.
Mommy, is that what I think it is, Mommy?
Yes, it is, baby. You are the engine of your family. They win because of you. Will them to win every day with the goodness of Golden Morn. Golden Morn, make every day golden.
From Nestle.
We go here today. Back then I used to be Rasaki, but now I'm rebranded. Call me Shegun, you can call me no guest.
How did you meet your lovely wife?
It was an amazing journey.
Adewale, mention a characteristic of a deceitful person.
Cheating. You're corny. Pretense.
You're selfish.
NTA Television College Jos, with a pedigree of producing indelible professionals in the media space and an affiliate of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, for the award of Degree in Mass Communication, calls on prospective candidates to leverage on the following courses it offers for 2024-2025 academic session. BSc Mass Communication, those with minimum admissible score of 180 and above who sat for the 2024 JAMB/UTME and direct entry, while 100 to 179 minimum admissible score can apply for the National Innovation Diploma NID in Film and Television Production, Broadcast Journalism and Television Engineering. For more inquiries, visit our website or call 0803 383 4343. Announcer, Registrar.
We all get that party where they get your back anytime or day. E go carry a matter for head like say na your own. Na so GoTV tanda for your side as your party for correct enjoyment. We not a tear pocket. For this GoTV Super Plus Golden Window, you fit touchlight all the 380 Premier League games, correct local shows, and better film. We day for you. Make your sharply upgrade or recharge your GoTV on top Super Plus to enjoy every today. The Super Plus Golden Window don't come out money now. No do yourself, oh. GoTV. Love it.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and to begin our conversation, let's take this background report on Nigeria at 64.
Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary marks a significant milestone in its journey since gaining freedom from British colonial rule. Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa's vision for Nigeria's global prominence remains a guiding force. Despite facing military coups, economic instability, and corruption, Nigeria has made notable strides. Today, it is a key player in Africa, boasting a growing economy, vibrant entrepreneurship, and a thriving tech sector. Renowned individuals and captivating music have also put Nigeria on the global map. However, the nation still tackles insecurity, poverty, and economic growth challenges. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration aims to address these through economic and energy diversification, infrastructure development, and human capital growth. The theme for the 64th independence anniversary is reflecting on the past, inspiring the future, and encouraging Nigerians to share their thoughts on being a nation at 64. Our guests will explore Nigeria's progress, challenges, and prospects. Get ready for a fascinating discussion as Nigeria refuels towards the next lap.
Thank you, Ibrahim Dan Hamidu, for that background there. Now we have our guests seated in the studio to discuss Nigeria at 64. And first, let me just introduce Professor Nuhu Yakub. He's the former Vice Chancellor, University of Abuja and Sokoto. Professor Yakub, you're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Also, we have Comrade Issa Aremu, Director General, Michael Imodu, National Institute of Labor Studies in Ilorin, Kwara State Capital. Comrade, good to have you again.
Very well. Happy Independence in advance.
In advance.
Already we're celebrating. And also joining us in the studio, we have Dr. Ene Ede, educationalist, journalist, human rights and development advocacy professional. It's a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you so much, and we bless God for the work you do. Coming to the studio very early is not easy.
You can say that
it's
again.
A lot of sacrifice.
Yes.
We all pay the sacrifice for for Nigeria to grow.
Thank you.
Indeed.
All right, let's kickstart our conversation this morning.
Are we beginning with the ladies first?
Okay. Since you said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Madam Ene. Now, from the background report, that Nigeria has made some giant strides in its, development and all that. But at 60, people believe that at 60 you should have attained some level of comfort, development and all that. If Nigeria were a human being, how would you describe Nigeria at 64?
I've always told people that I was just reflecting last night. When I listen to people talk about Nigeria, you'll be wondering if, even if we have opportunity of multiple citizenship, that will cover for being a Nigerian. But I've come to realize over time, when we talk about that, a lot of people get offended. I've come to realize that Nigeria is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Your report said, the background report said, Nigeria is a key player in Africa. Nigeria is not only a key player in Africa. Nigeria is a global player.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Nigeria at, if it's a human being and you're approaching 60, how should it be? You should mature. But we have come to see too that there are a lot of instabilities, but when you weigh them side by side by the opportunities and the progress we have made, we realize that we have made reasonable progress. And there is what will be the hope? The hope is that we can do better, because a lot of people talk about a few people who want to give us bad name. The number of people who are patriotic, who are genuinely interested in Nigeria, they are more. So how do we step that up? So looking at Nigeria at 64, Nigeria should stabilize more than it is now. When we say stabilizing, we're looking at the major indices in terms of unity, in terms of equality, especially if you want to look at Chapter 2, Section 23 of the Constitution, when we talk about the ethics of the country. So I think this is an area that we need to drive, we need to emphasize. We're not going to leave it for just a National Orientation Agency. People always call out National Orientation. Who have the responsibility to?
Everybody.
Yes, last night I asked some of the young people, I said, can you bring this out for me? And I realized that the foundation that we should be able to rise from, because the ethics we have given to ourselves, our founding fathers and mothers, discipline, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice, religious tolerance. I think we shouldn't talk about tolerance, we should talk about common. Once we go to reviewing the Constitution, amending the Constitution, we should be able to amend that.
Okay.
It shouldn't be tolerant. It means we are just managing each other.
Should be harmony instead.
Yes. There's self-reliance and patriotism. You have shown a lot of it. By the opportunities a number of us have, we have been able to show this. So how can we look at this as a takeoff point for us? How do we amplify this? I've not heard so much conversation about this. So if we are able to look at this personally, as groups, as individuals, as politicians, different categories of Nigerians, if we look at this critically and we're able to internalize this, it is easier to achieve the nationhood we aspire to have. Outside this is not very easy. This is what we have given ourselves, whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a free thinker. So for me in Nigeria at 60, should be moving towards
64.
64, sorry. Should be moving towards being in charge of so many things in the world, especially now that we are looking for position at the United Nations. It should come natural to us because we have everything to be able to get to where we need to be. So Nigeria is a beautiful country that is waiting to be properly harnessed.
Indeed. Let's bring in
Prof to have his own view.
Yes, we're going to go around so that we have an idea.
Let's have your view of if Nigeria were a human being, how would you describe him?
Well, I think there is a disparity between human beings and a nation state.
It's a metaphor, actually.
Well, I mean,
it's a metaphoric expression.
Yeah, well, if you put it in context, you know, a human being at 64 is expected to be matured, an adult, a person with responsibility. Okay, and is expected to have a family, is expected to have, even if the person doesn't have family, is expected to actually see what is it that he or she should contribute to the development of the country. And in even thinking about that, you know, it has to be on the basis of the cooperative nature, because not single individual can actually build a country. It's a collective effort. But as a nation state, it's a number of, different kettle of fish or whatever they call it, because you know, if you look at the history of the humankind, you discover that all the societies that the humankind have lived in. We're talking of several hundreds of years or even millions of years. So, and there is no country that has ever stopped or come to the conclusion that I'm stopping at this point because I have developed, have attained that level of development that I don't need to aspire. Everybody is trying to actually see to what extent they can improve on God-given resources or resources and on other things that we have. Well, I would say that as a country we're still young compared to countries that started very much earlier. If you take of Ghana, China, we're talking of go and see the Great Wall of China. I mean, at the time it was built, I have been to China. At the time it was built, I don't think the Chinese have the sophisticated technologies they have at the moment. And it is an edifice that anybody who goes to China will want to go and see that how on earth was it possible. Or also look at Egypt, the pyramids. I have also been to Egypt and I've seen to what extent human effort, ability of human being has been translated into concrete structures that have stayed for several years. But I mean, some of these structures we're talking about, they were talking about in the BC period, not AD period. So Nigeria is still, to that extent, or comparatively speaking, a child. But I think also we should have leadership that will have vision. Or we should also have citizens that are prepared to contribute their quotas to ensure that even if we are starting very late, we have people to copy from their own experiences and even perform better. That is the challenge for leadership in this country.
Okay, comrade Gisaramu, let's get your views on if Nigeria was a human being at 64, where would we be?
Well, I'm not sure what I can add to what...
Yes, because my question is, you've been part of the struggle, you've been part of the struggle for nationhood, for Nigeria's nationhood, and I believe the hunger to see it, succeed is still in you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I think Dr. Ene and Professor New have they've already laid the foundation, and they've answered the question whether we take it as if Nigeria is a human being. Of course, Nigeria is made up of human beings, 250 million. I think we can look at ourselves and find out how far we fared. I think Prof also went further to even make it much more, a little bit more academic, to show that there's a difference. There's a difference between nation state, and of course individuals. I think I agree with the two perspectives. As an individual, I think we can look at ourselves. I'm a product of independent Nigeria.
But
some of us can say that we are almost as old as Nigeria. And you can see what Nigeria has done to us from humble background. I belong to the first generation of graduates from a family, and you can see the impact it has made. Went to primary school, good secondary school education, went to university, and we're what we are now. I mean, multiple degrees. He also introduced me as a director general. So individuals, I think we've moved on, including some of you are here. But what I also to add is that to discuss independence, Nigeria at 64, I think it's also important to reflect life before 1960. And discussing independence, you must also discuss about what life used to be when we were a nation under British, domination. Lagos was bombarded militarily in 1851, and 1861 it was declared a colony. It was armed attack on Nigerians, forced annexations, You know, also the same thing happened in the interlands. You know, emirs were sacked. There was compulsory treaties. You know, and if you now look at the date between 1861 and 1960, we got independent. I mean, do the calculation. That's about 98 years, almost a century of British domination. No freedom, no human rights. In fact, gross violation of human rights. You know, Nigerians had no rights. I mean, you protest, you'll be arrested. You know of the Aba women protest. They call it riot. You know, over taxation. You know, 1929, there was the coal mine workers massacre, 1949. You know, and of course, you know what produced Michael Imodu, which my institute was named after. He was fighting against discrimination against the workforce in the Nigerian railway. You know, the British employees were better paid, whether senior or junior, and you know, the Nigerian workers were poorly paid. Imodu have to fire to fight. You know, he led the struggle in 1949 for over the cost of living. You know, don't forget that we've been in this business for long after the Second World War. So what I'm saying here is that to appreciate where we are now, you should know where we are coming from. You know, and 100 years of British rule was a disaster. You know, I mean, Europe underdeveloped Africa. And I think we shouldn't underrate that. I mean, Prof, you are here. Throughout the hundreds of British rule, no single university was established. Even University of Ibadan, 1948, was an appendage of University of London. I mean, today, I don't know what the figure is. Prof, you have to guide me. But today, we have close to 100 public universities. We have hundreds of private universities, you know, hundreds of
polytechnics and
polytechnics, you know, I mean, which were never created. Even the kind of education we had under the British rule, just to train clerks, you know, I mean, people who will collect tax, you know, record for exploitation, you know. But today we produce Nobel Prize winner. We have engineers, you know, who are making waves, not just Nigeria and abroad, you know. So I think we have to look back. In fact, I also, you know, I came from textile, private sector, you know the story. Throughout the hundreds of British rule, they were taking cotton here to Lancaster, Manchester. They would produce cloth to produce it. They never added value. It was Sadana who said, no, we should stop this. 1957, on the eve of independence, and established a Kaduna textile mill. And then from there, you have UNTL, you know, I will also, you know, move on in the West. We have NTM, you know, and by 1980, we are the second largest producer of textile. But we can debate it. How far have we done to make it work? We also didn't have constitution. We had constitution after independence, which defined our rights, freedom of association, freedom of assembly. We have to underscore this because, you know, there is a new colonial thinking that Europe will develop us. You know, IMF, World Bank, you know, I mean, it's the same. We have to know where we are coming from. So at 64, I'm quite impressed that the National Orientation Agency has a new charter now. And I think there are about 12 prayers now to even bring back civic and history into our schools to let us know that things, we have challenges now, but it is to be terribly bad. And on the last note, let me also add, you know, we went on civil war for 3 years, 1967 to 1970. But you know, the children who are born today, maybe 70s, 80s, I mean, they won't know that Nigeria went through civil war because we've gone through process of reconciliation, unprecedented. You know, with 1 million people died, you know, Nigerians are back fully. I mean, in fact, we have helped to also solve problems in other regions of the world. So, but I also agree with you, Juma. I think you hinted we can do more.
Yes, we can.
And I think the only way to do so, maybe in the course of conversation, is to also look at similar countries that would go independence together. Where are they? There are some who have disappeared. I mean, Somalia was even more homogeneous. It's a failed state now.
It is.
Sudan, completely disaster. You know, we're on our feet, and that's quite remarkable. But I would even prefer that we compare ourselves to China. China is marking 75 years independence. In fact, we share the same Independence Day on Tuesday. You know, and why China is significant is that we all share a lot in common. Biggest We are the biggest in Africa. The biggest in
Asia.
In Asia, you know, we have resource endowment. In fact, we even have more than China, you know. But China shows that human resource is the greatest.
Human resource.
Yeah, that could be well
which
valued.
we have.
Yeah, which we have.
Which we have.
China has gone to the moon. China is adding value to its resources. They collect crude oil here, they refine, and they are willing to give up. We used to
and
refine
collect
that.
raw materials and bring the drugs
So for
back.
me,
yeah.
the real comparison would be how we realize our potential, and that's why I'm happy with the new engagement we are doing with China now.
Well, it's good to compare, but then we shouldn't compare too much so that we don't give ourselves.
No, to compare is to aspire us.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
To aspire.
So to aspire us. You know, and when I say comparison, I mean, there was a time we were ahead of China.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes.
So we could do better. So what has China done? And I think
differently.
End up on this note.
Yes.
Interestingly, China started development planning almost the same time.
Singapore.
We started.
All right.
Yeah, and they are running 14th development plan now. We have abandoned our own, so we should return back to development.
Thank you, Comrade Aremu, for your contribution there. You talked more about, you know, reflecting on the past for us to be able to project for the future. And the theme for this year's is honoring the past, inspire the future. Now, let's look at the contribution of our founding fathers, the foundational fathers, like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, Ahmadu Bello, and all that. Would you say their contribution actually shaped, you know, correctly where we are now, or what they had in mind? Would you say it's what we are realizing now?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Comrade. Thank you, Prof. I'm glad about the balance. I know to eventually, when we get into the conversation, we'll also be able to talk about the contribution of different generations of civil society actors that shape where we are today as a complement to the duty bearers. When you also talk about the founding fathers, I'm not a feminist, but I believe in equity. Because I've had the privilege of relating with different generations of men and women.
Okay.
I believe in balance. I am not one of those who say, oh, men are responsible for our problem. So I have had the opportunity of having conversation with people like Laji Maitama Sule, sit down with him, have discussion. Someone like Ambassador Judy Tata, Chief Mrs. Julie Adekol. So I've asked several questions apart from what is written in the books. Comrade said something about the knowledge of the younger generation. I think it's an area that we must encourage them to ask questions. Apart from asking questions, yes, it's good to go and read the history books. Like I have some big books in my private library at home. You want young people to read, they are not interested. So we must make it put it in the format that it will be enticing to them. They must understand this history.
That is
by relating with somebody to like Ngosera Dokotri. She was the first to tell me that there was a woman who was in London, Mrs. I remember the name, her younger sister. She's from Middleborough, that she was in London with the founding father. She later married, she married somebody from the South. I will get the name before the end of the program. I was trying to remember last night. So there were a number of women who went with the founding fathers to London to negotiate our independence. And the pre-independence, so a lot of them were at the forefront. We were looking at opportunity where all this history will be more exposed. We'll be able to have a good balance. Then we will be able to acknowledge what we have gone through over the years. So coming back to your question, I've been concerned about the declining patriotism. A lot of people, you see some say, I will not sing the national anthem. Others will say, so what is there to celebrate? But what was the dream of the founding mothers and fathers? Progressively, if you look at the way they related, they make sure they close the gap of everything that will pull them about. We are now struggling to see how we can enforce unity, or we can not enforce now. You can to promote unity. Men, women, young people, different. We have engaged a series of activities. But the question here is that what was the dream? Where is that departure from the dream of the founding mothers and fathers? They went. I know a lot of people criticize some of them that they just went there, negotiated. We didn't have to split blood. So that's why we are wobbling like this. It's not so. It's not every country. Yes, it's not every country that had to fight to split blood before they were able to achieve independence. The negotiation is good. That's why even up to now,
even if it's not bored, you still come back to
exactly. So the dialogue and negotiation is very important. So they were able to dialogue among themselves, move themselves to London, negotiated, and were able to get independence. And what was it? Yes, a lot of people have difficulty with the Constitution, but it's a good starting point. And it's good that we are now saying that, look, we need a Constitution that will be more unifying. We need a Constitution that gives a sense of equity according to Chapter 2, Section 23 of the Constitution. So what was their dream? Their dream was for everybody to be united, to have a prosperous country. So are we able to maintain that? Why do we have, I grew up, I was a full-time housewife, married to a politician who was a member of the House of Assembly. What I read and what I observed, even before then, that is at different generations, I realized that the politicians of those days, they were more accommodating, they were more sacrificial, they were more humane, they were more interested in promoting a community unity. Like, for example, the first female senator in the whole black world, Senator Frank Afegwu of blessed memory. She was the only woman in the Second Republic, yet she was able to promote a lot of bills, a lot of motions, and she was not put down like some of the things we see in the assembly now, in the two chambers. They say, oh, you sit down. And they begin to talk down on women. So what can we do to be able to reflect on that past where there was, you motivate. I remember one of your directors, Mrs. Jennifer HMB. Yes. She was in the Constituent Assembly. She was pulled from NTA. So how do we get to a level that you may not belong to a political party, you may not belong to MPN, NPM, AMPP, GMPP, but I realized that they were focused on the good of our country. How do we go back to that? This group of politicians we have now, the way they are behaving, because the behavior is not in consonance with Chapter 2 and Section 23, which is a takeoff point for us. So what can we do? The dream of our founding fathers, even though they have some challenges, they had political violence, but not to this magnitude we are seeing now. So what can we do? As we are reflecting, what can this group of politicians, do they need to be taught? Prof, I don't know if they will need to be taught, or we'll have a seminar we are used to gathering, but the anxiety of many of us is that, like, I was speaking with Adagbo, chatting with Adagbo Noja, a fantastic young man, and he now told me that, oh, I remembered you when we were at Kanu for the review of the Constitution, that there was gender war, it was gender war. So it's not supposed to be a warfare thing. It's supposed to be, okay, bring your argument, I bring my argument, and we're able to come to a consensus. the founding fathers and founding mothers were able to come to consensus. They were more relational. They were more in
tune with each other.
Yes, they were able to honor the dignity of the human person. It's not like, oh, you are from the north. You know, many people, when they see people like, oh, you are from the north. Oh, we used to think that many northerners are, you know, stereotype and all that. But how do we break this wall down and begin to see human beings and human beings? Because the founding fathers had laid the foundation. Yes, they had little challenges here and there, but it's for us now to overcome all those challenges. They laid fantastic foundation for us. So how do we build on? And how do we build on quickly? Because many of the young people are impatient with us.
That is true.
Professor Nu, how do you build on, like she said?
Building on the laid foundation.
Yeah. Let me put it in the context of the experience we had, you know, particularly from independence. I think it is, even for the benefit of the younger generation, we have to put it in context. They were trying, not that they actually laid good foundation, as, with due respect, as you put it. They were trying, but for me, the turning point was the military coup of 1966. Yeah, they were trying to, I mean, because, you know, and I also want to put in the context of the fact that it was at a point in time Nigeria became a federal entity. Federalism was adopted as a system of governance. And then we had three major, from independence, three major regions. You know, in 1963, they added the Midwest, okay? And what was actually the driving force was the good competition that took place among these regions.
Yeah.
So, for me, they were already, you know, in the process of nation building. That yes, we all agree we are different entities, culturally, linguistically, religiously, and so on and so forth. But it was not that we are not able, you know, to sustain unity of this diverse group. And they were in the process. But then the military came and the whole trajectory changed very dramatically. You know, let me remind us that when this coup took place in 1966, Izegu, who carried out the coup, said, you know, the politicians were 10%ers, they were corrupt. But what have we gotten as an experience of military governance in this country? Is it not more corruption? Are they better than the civilians? And of course, the other dimension of it is that the politicians, right from the Second Republic, that took over from the military, at any point that there was military intervention, we also discovered that the politicians have enmeshed themselves into this corrupt practice. So what we are having now, I would rather say, is a negation of the attempt that the founding father or the founding mothers were trying to put in place. How do we bring that, you know, fraction? This is the question now. Because, you know, we really need to go to ask ourselves, nation building, you know, the development of this country, you know, how do we go about it? I think we are still yet to define, you know, what challenges we have and how do we go, you know, about this. I don't think that the issue for this country is should be religion. I mean, that is, you know, we need, I mean, everybody cannot be a Muslim, everybody cannot be a Christian, everybody cannot be a pagan, whatever it is. At the same time, you know, we have to allow people to exercise free, because we say we are practicing democracy. Let people be free to choose what they want to do, but in the context of the overarching laws.
Within the law.
Yeah. Overarching laws that, you know, that will help us to, you know, actually approach nation building, you know, development. and also democracy, because these are the key issues that we really need to tackle at this point in time. As a political scientist, I looked at what we call democracy. Honestly speaking, I don't believe that we have democracy in this country, and I say it anywhere I go.
Why?
Yes, you can tell me. I mean, one has to challenge me. Why do I think?
Why do you say that?
I say it because democracy does not permit violence. The election of last week in Edo State, the stories I had, was that it was peaceful.
Yeah.
Relatively
generally
peaceful, yeah.
Yeah, but people are now also, especially those who have lost the election, they said they were, either they were driven, I mean, some of the agents were driven from what is it called? The polling unit.
Or collation
or
center.
the results have been manipulated. If the result is manipulated, and it is correct, then you cannot say we have democracy.
Well, Prof, you always expect that from... That has been the usual reactions from losers most times.
Okay, yes, that's also the way I look at it.
Yes, most of the time, we were not gallant losers. We want to always ascribe a reason why we have lost a particular election. Instead of us to just, okay, let's embrace the moment and move forward. Now, let's re-strategize and plan for the next election. But we'll say, no, it was fraught with a lot of violence and all that.
Yeah. In fact, I quite agree with what you are saying, because I when I woke up on Sunday of not yesterday, Sunday of last week, when the results were being collated, I was keen to know which party was leading, and what I look at, or what I saw on the screen, was that in some local government areas, PDP will be leading. Yeah, in some other local government areas, it will be APC.
Yeah.
Of course, the Labour Party was not in the competition.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just grant them the fact that they also participated. Which is welcome. But then, suddenly, I discovered that the APC, had torpedoed, the PDP, and they are not leading to the extent to the extent that at a point in time it was now announced that they won the election, and when on the screen you were seeing that PDP was leading, nobody was talking. So we have really challenges.
We have so many challenges.
We have real challenges, but the way some people try to look at these challenges is either to attach it to religion or to ethnicity. And this is not helping us.
Actually, what even aggravated the whole issues, this social media thing, because a lot of people, because of their access to social media, they just post. Exactly. And people do not verify. The results were posted, most of these things were not verified.
Yes.
It wasn't posted by INEC and all that. So, anyway, thank you, Prof, for your contribution there. Let's move on. Comrade, you have heard Dr. Ene and Prof, and they've raised a lot of issues, especially how do we handle these various challenges. Like Dr. Ene said, even the youth, they have become very impatient now. They want things done like a snap of their finger, and they are not ready to read. How do we get across to them? How do we make them interested in the Nigerian nation?
I think first let me Prof is my teacher, so there's a limit to which I can only NTA can make me to face my teacher. But he raised an interesting point to say that he doesn't think that we have a democracy. And one thing that struck me is that for him to have even said that
we don't have
shows that we have democracy.
We have.
Because, Prof, that we couldn't have said, even have this conversation under the military rule. I think the beauty of democracy is that it also allows us to...
freedom of speech.
To also address its problems,
yes.
Which eloquently you have put on. The way losers in election will never accept results. Winners are too triumphant. They are not magnanimous to carry people along. So, but that's the beauty of democracy for us to discuss it. To your question, Demola, that the youths are impatient, I think for me, they are carrying the spirit of the founding mothers and fathers of Nigeria. Because if our founding fathers and mothers, they are too docile, they are impatient, we couldn't have gotten independence. You know, they did. In fact, Zeke, you know, Aulo and others, they preferred that we could have gotten independence before Ghana. You know, they were really impatient because, I mean, century long of British rule was very brutal. You know, the colonialists actually underdeveloped us, and they said it was time.
So you can't say that they were impatient now.
No, what I mean is that they were
of...
eager to get independence. I'm talking of our founding fathers, and that's why we got independence as 1960. You know, so I'm saying the desire for change, and they were all very young people. Zeke and Co, they were in their 40s. Mala Aminu Kano,
were they in their 40s or 30s?
Oh, 30s, 40s. I mean, well, 40s. No, but today, 40, we're like a babies now.
Yes,
you know, I mean,
yes.
if you are 60, they say we are still young. So what I'm saying that, so there's nothing bad being impatient. What is needed is that we should guide the youth very well. But my takeaway on this, still on democracy, I want to emphasize that one of the greatest dividends of our independence is this constitutionalism that we have democracy. And I think Prof pointed out that what set us back was that coup of 1966. I think it lasted 13 years. 1979, we returned back to democracy. Military came back again, and we had another protracted up to 1999. But today we are talking of 25 years of uninterrupted
democracy.
So if you look at it, and I've argued before that military rule is actually internal colonialism. So if you look at the number of years we've spent under military, Nigeria is just about 30-something years old. You know, where we have the right to choose our leaders with all the imperfection of the elections. You know, and I think we shouldn't take this for granted. But why I want to underscore this is that look at all those people who fought for independence. They were all Democrats. You know, they were civilians. I mean, Abat Macaulay started the first party, NNDP, the National Democratic Party, I think 1922. Then you have the NCNC, which Zeke was very prominent.
One of the pioneers.
National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons. You know, and all these parties later metamorphosed to, you know, what we call regional parties. You have AG, Action Congress, you have MPC, you know, which the latest Tafa Balewa, you know, and others formed.
NCNC.
You know, NCNC, you know, and NEPU, you know, much more radical of Mala Aminu Kano, I mean, who actually was our hero. But they were Democrats. But I think Dr. Ene raised the point. They were also patriotic. You know, regardless of their disagreement, they agreed that Nigeria must have independence. You know, and they also negotiated, you know, with the British. You know, they used democratic method. And I think we must underscore this point because all the groups that fought for independence, they were civilians in their own right. Politicians, workers in trade unions. I've mentioned Imodu, Michael Imodu, and other, you know, Wabi Goodluck, you know.
The Gambosa Waba.
Yeah, Gambosa, the women. In fact, that's where I was going. Then Mrs. Kuti and those fantastic people who really pay sacrifice. Now, what is the relevance of that to us today? You know, is that I think it's time for us to learn from the way they fought for independence. Patriotism, unity. We need that spirit to build Nigeria at 64. You know, and I think we need a pan-Nigerian approach, bipartisan approach to address the issue of insecurity, of unemployment, of national development. And how do we do that? We need a national development plan. So we need a politics of inclusion, that even after the elections, this idea of winner takes all will not deliver. Winner can take all the posts, but you also take all the troubles. You know, and when you look at our election, it's getting very close now. You know, when you look at the numbers, even the winner is very narrow. In fact, if we are running parliamentary system, you can't have a government only by one party.
Would you say,
so in summary, what I'm trying to say here is that, and I think President Obasanjo at a point started to extend to other parties. You know, I think President Bola Tinubu, I mean, also
did
brought
that.
I mean, you talk of Wike, and you can see that regardless of his party, it's adding value in Abuja. I mean, his activism, the energies have been positively harnessed. But I think we need to even formalize that as much as
So
possible.
would you say President Bola Tinubu is sort of practicing politics how it used to be before?
Yeah, of inclusion. I mean, he's practicing it, and he should do more. That's the point I'm raising. And, you know, coming from a democratic tradition of which he has been, I mean, see the way even the APC came to power. I mean, they have to, about 3-4 parties have to dissolve, you know, to have one way. Because we talk of China that we're engaging with. And by the way, I want to commend the president too for having a whole desk. I think there's a whole director general now.
Yes.
I've forgotten his
Tech
name. I just saw the announcement now. You know, we'll be able to harness, you know, those critical takeaways from the last China African summit. You know, fantastic. I'm really impressed because at times we signed some of these protocols, yet we don't do follow-up. You know,
the implementation that actually is a challenge.
So what I'm trying to say here is that we can formalize, we can have an approach in which we have an inclusive development process. And we also need inclusive politics. So regardless of party affiliation, I think I will be happy as much as possible. I mean, I was just talking about China. What makes China? I mean, China has one political party, you know, and they are quite united, even though there are about 8 other parties, you know, which are not known, but they all agree there must be national development. I think we also need that.
The interest of China is first and foremost.
Yes, foremost. So I think I will look forward to more inclusive involvement, you know, regardless of political opinions, you know, that we have, because we just have to catch up. I mean, Nigeria used to be a promising developing nation. It's still one.
It still is.
Very one. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things we need to celebrate. I'm happy railway is coming back in full force. You know, I mean, Abuja,
railway system,
Kaduna, Ibadan, you know,
Lagos,
Itape, where the President Buhari was there, and now President Bola Tinubu is even committed to that now in large number. That's the way to go.
And we have the CNG.
Yeah, so we have that, but there are also challenges. I've told you about education.
Yes.
You know, we have got many schools, but what's the quality? I mean, when I had Professor the Minister, Tahiro, fantastic, you know, it's coming out with a lot of reforms. But what struck me was the, you know, it's lamentation that we now have new illiteracy, many children out of schools. We need to bring them back. By 1980, literacy level in Nigeria was almost about 70 to 80%. But today we have, our literacy level is almost 59%. Now, all this work cannot be resolved by one party in power alone. Am I communicating?
Yes.
We must make sure we bring everybody on board, you know, as much as possible. And that's what we take away from the founding mothers and fathers, what they did at the time they are there. But the political parties have to also, we need to re-energize them. They must be guided by philosophy, ideologies, which guided the founding parties in those days. I mean, the difference is not clear. 18 political parties, if you ask me, some will be in one party tomorrow, there will be another one the following day. You know, I mean, Ghana, you can't really cross parties the way we do so, because they are committed to development. But even in Ghana, as they are ideologically divided, when it comes to Ghana issues, all of them come together.
Yes, come together.
So I strongly believe that we'll renew Hope Agenda. We'll look forward to good broadcast tomorrow. And the president will be able to galvanize
Thank you very much.
And make sure we keep the youth positively busy.
Let's bring in Mrs. Ene, Dr. Ene into the conversation now. You know, the generation that knew Nigeria at a better time, most of them are gone. We have a generation, like you say, who do not know about the history of this country. And you talked about ways that we can make it understandable to them, entice them, for them to read up on the history of Nigeria. You know, the first mistake made was removing history from the curriculum itself. Yes, so the generation from 1990 to now practically didn't know how Nigeria was before. For some of us, we experienced a little bit of the goodness of this country, you know, free education, UPE and all that. But this generation, when you ask them, why don't you sacrifice for this country? And I say, what has the country done for me? What have they done for me? Me, I don't even know anything that is happening in this country. That is what they say. And they are ready at the click of the finger to forget about this country and live and just go somewhere. So how do we begin to entice them, to tell them that there's much more better things to come than what it is today?
The challenge here is the readiness, like Comrade said. I understand the feelings of Professor because I was part of a meeting 2 days ago when the civil society met, and they all agreed, speaking from different dimensions, elderly, voting, persons with disabilities, different categories of youth, professionals and all that. And we realize that we have a big problem in our hands. And when I listened to them carefully, I said, okay, we all must go to work and be able to deal with this issue. One, Comrade has mentioned about equity, and is here in chapter 2, section 23 of our conduct. How should we conduct ourselves? It's a problem. The founding mothers and founding fathers, all the political parties, before independence, the pre-colonial, the first, every stage of our political life, before now, before we begin to see this experience, the ideology of the political parties. I remember GMPP.
Great Nigeria
People's Party. All the political parties, their ideologies were very distinctive.
Politics without bitterness.
Yes, but now you are not sure of what they are talking about. All of them are just playing games. So how do we, for us to be able to motivate the younger generation or the younger adult, or motivate other standbys, people who are just standing by, the multitude who will come and change this country, who have been reflecting over what has been happening? You have to get people to be able to see the sincerity of the political class. Comrade Issa has said something. How many of my colleagues, like 10 of my senior colleagues in the media, who as a result of commitment to their profession and to the country Nigeria, today they are visually impaired. One of them was talking to me last night. He said, please, you interact with the people at different levels. Can you tell them that many of us who are in this condition as a result of support we have given patriot acts that we try to display, that even the palliative they are sharing, it doesn't get to us. So this is an adult who has become suddenly invalid, that lost his sight, what they call blind, visually impaired. So what can you do to motivate such person to be able to bring out the best? He has the experience. When you also talked about the best not being available, we have higher dimension of goodness, skills, energy, knowledge. That's why all over the world we are good selling citizens. Yes. Many Nigerians are outside this country achieving so much, doing so well. So the challenge we are facing is the system we operate, the processes that is not in line with our founding mothers and founding fathers' dream. So how do we ensure that we get back there? So
how do we ensure that we get back there?
Yes.
I'd like to just pause you there.
Okay.
Because my director is calling for a break.
Oh,
when
okay.
When we come back from the break, you will continue from where we stop.
So
we take a break now. The conversation continues. Stay with us.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
A new edition of TV Guide is out.
This time, we got up close and personal with a transformational legislator, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Barrel Jibrin.
We've created a difference in terms of representation through interventions that have brought an unprecedented infrastructural development to my area.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more.
It is indeed a park of excitement as we take you through every aspect of life. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space.
TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
I think Amaka should just move out of the house. Yes.
No. Standing out of the house is not the right thing to do.
Oh, there you go again with your sentimental family stuff.
Baby, if our aim is to stop this affair, it is best achieved under our roof.
You do something terrible and you'll be acting innocent.
What are you going on about?
Don't ask me that question again. You couldn't even control yourself in the presence of our visitors.
What are you accusing me of, woman?
My son, I don't know how serious you are with my daughter, but there's something that needs to be done urgently before you move any further.
Anything, just anything, just say it. I'm ready to do anything.
There is a spell that needs to be removed.
A spell?
Family forever, the story of our lives.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
The race to qualify for the biggest football competition in Africa is on. The 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. 48 teams in 12 groups, with only the top 2 teams in each group qualifying for the African Cup of Nations in 2025 in Morocco. Don't miss the action, suspense and unrivaled coverage on AfroSport TV and its affiliates partners across Nigeria, starting from September 2024 to November 2024. Afro Sport, your freedom of sport.
You're welcome back. This is still Good Morning Nigeria on the
We'll be
network
having an
service
interesting
of
conversation
the
of
NTA. And our conversation is still on Nigeria at 64. And before we went on break, Dr. Ene, you were speaking on...
Yes.
You can continue your
I'm
conversation now.
You see, I believe in behavioral change communication, the communication that can change somebody's behavior to be more positive. Somebody can be, may not believe in certain ideology, but you can communicate, you can talk the person into looking at your side of the conversation. I know the challenge a lot of people have. They talked about, you talked about the president doing well. He can do far much better. You know why? Where he's coming from and the opportunity he has to change things. But look at the challenge. One of the challenges is his media team or his communication team, the managers. They are not able to communicate the gains of the administration. They are not also able to coordinate among themselves. They are also not being able to also talk to Nigerians in a language that they will understand. You can't bully somebody into looking at your perspective. So if we are able to tone down the
rhetorics,
the wave, the high wave of conversation from there, it will be helpful. One, we've been asking, yes, the president has made an attempt to bring in many young people, many women, but what stops us if we have 50-50 or 75% women to change, because we are in a crossroad. We are not saying this because women are greedy or they want to collect position. You talk about equity too. There are many people there who are not politicians, technocrats, other people who are very patriotic, and they are not giving even advisory position to be able to say, okay, come and contribute. Call some people. I want to see the president have dialogue with women. Come, let us hear your perspective. What do you think? Especially at this moment. I think it's not late. I don't know what the arrangement is. So what we can change the narrative suddenly, reflecting on the gaps of the past. Let us be able to have, we are grateful to one of the speakers in the past that had a female at his deputy, at his
Patricia Ete?
No, not okay. Patricia was able to get a woman. She's the first House of, yes. She's the first speaker to have, not even speaker, the entire National Assembly since inception. She's the first presiding officer, principal officer to have a woman. Funke, what's her name? Egbamode. She was her spy, because I worked with her too. She was the SA media. So why can't we promote that for a while and see what the difference will be? That the principal officers, let the next person that the president should appoint, let him bring a woman. There are many good women in this country, because we are not so much moved by the sex, but we are moved by what you bring into the office. So in the cabinet reshuffle we are hearing about, let us communicate equity. Let it communicate that, look, you don't have to belong to a political background. There are those who don't have like Prof, I don't see Prof belonging to any political background. He cannot do it. But there are people who can manage to be around and still come out clean. So it's for us to treat Nigeria as our own country, not begin to treat Nigeria because we want to benefit from Nigeria. We have so much. Because I've not seen a country that is as endowed as Nigeria. The soil, anything you put in the soil, it grows. Around where I live, anything I put there, I've planted parsley, celery, everything I planted there is growing. So it's the same vein that any opportunity you work on in Nigeria, it will give you results. But we are not being able to discipline ourselves to come and look for people who are there. That we don't even need to go far to look for them. The 36 states and FCT, you'll be able to find people that can get us to where we need to be.
Even
so that
if they are not politicians.
Yes, even if you are not politicians, look for many people who love Nigeria enough. They have good records to say, look, things can change. Nigeria cannot continue like this because the whole world is waiting. Many African countries say, look, we are waiting for you. So we can change the narrative, looking at the, behind and looking from where we are,
And
looking forward. I'm very optimistic that we will be able to, if we behave well, if we behave this chapter 2, it will be very helpful for us.
Okay,
you know, there is something, finally, sorry. You see, there is something the president did. This national mental health policy. The provisions here with the situation we are facing now is enough to be able to bring every Nigerian to a place of stability, safety. Like somebody said, all Nigerians are mad. Because many people are not able to cope with.
Can you hold it up so that we see it very well? Yeah.
You see?
Yes.
This
National Mental Health
yes,
Policy.
is the president, and one of the major provisions here is to have a commission. We've not been able to see that, and the what do you call it, the role of civil society. If you implement this, you will be where you need to be before before next year. We'll be able to achieve so much. Okay, it's the same government, this President Tinubu, the courage to even do this, the mental health policy, because it's been hanging on for eternity. So it's to just harness little things there and you'll be where you are. Look at this, the manual of mental awareness. So, and look at this National Suicide Prevention Strategy Framework. So we have all the resources. It's harnessing it, getting the right people. Let us diminish the people hanging around corridor of power, hypocrites and people who are what do you call it now? The people who are pretending, what do you call them? Sycophants.
Sycophants.
Okay. Let us de-emphasize that. So the president can do better if he's able to make the government more inclusive. Women, men, persons who are just sitting there in their house with so much knowledge and is not utilized, and they are not people who will bring themselves forward, but many of those who are around the governance table are there. So nobody should play politics with governance.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ene. You have raised a vital point and you spoke a lot. And let me bring in Professor Yakub now. The policy, how do we handle or promote, just like she said and he said, this policy of inclusivity, you know, including people maybe not from your political affiliation, whatever, but just competent people on merit, you know, to perform. And also, the president tomorrow will be giving us, you know, a broadcast. What are your expectations from this broadcast? What would you be expecting to hear from, you know, the president moving forward?
Well, let me recall the the point that became evident after he won the election last year.
Yeah.
He said he will be constituting a government of national competence.
Instituting
a government of national competence. Yes. And shortly after, that was short, I mean, he made this statement when he was actually making a speech accepting the result of the election. And I remember also that shortly after that, I was in the US to attend a conference, and I was made to give the after the night speech at the conference organized by Professor Falola, you know, which drew a lot of Nigerians from there. And there were also some Americans who turned up. And I harped on this point, you know. I think the issue is we have to define our politics. Define it. What is the objective? What do we actually want to bring about in this country? You know, and when you define it in this way, you come up with, you know, what one would consider as, you know, factors that may likely even also create problems for you to achieve the objective. In other words, you know, we will have challenges. So nobody is going to deceive themselves to say, oh, well, it's very easy, smooth, easy going. No, it's not like that. I want to therefore draw the attention of the Mr. President to look at this comment of national competence.
National competence.
It's a very key point he made on acceptance of, you know, his victory. I'm not saying he's not appointing people of competence yet, but I think there is a need for also, just as we're talking of inclusivity, you know, we can use this platform of what he has committed himself to doing to actually address, you know, the issue of inclusivity, to bring up, you know, people who can actually, you know, they may not need to belong to his party. Okay, let them also, because they have, contributions to make to the development of the country, to the political development of the country, economic development of the country, social development of the country, and you bring them in. You know, it is going to go a long way, you know, in helping, you know, himself and also helping Nigerians to be on a trajectory that will lift up from, you know, what I usually refer to as the general poverty in this country. We have resources. There is no doubt about this. We have resources, but because we have also not put in place a mechanism to actually, you know, optimize these resources, that's why we remain, you know, underdeveloped. You know, we can't run away from, you know, getting Nigerians, even if it means those in diaspora should be motivated to come back. We can do this, you know, we can do this. Because over there, they are contributing to the development of the societies where they have found themselves. Yeah. They come back here, you know, with the point she has been raising, you know, from the council. Patriotism is also a very key point. Everybody, all of us, you know, there's nobody, you know, who is anybody. Let me put it that way. There's nobody who is anybody that cannot actually add, you know, even if you call it, you know, very little contribution to the development of this country. Therefore, he needs to go and find out who these are.
Okay.
Also, you know, get people who can advise him on, you know, the commitment he made. Let him, you know, address this, and we'll move. In fact, there are people who want to, you know, find a way of getting integrated into the machinery of governance. Yes. Okay, but they are also very shy. They don't want to go out and, you know, be seen to be people who are begging for jobs. Yes, they will look at. I mean, they may even, you know, push him aside, and you know, in the end, who do we get? People who may not even be so committed. So I think, you know, his government should actually come up with, you know, a policy measure that can attract people, or that he can use to get people close to him. We have the talents. Okay. It's only how to motivate them or include them in what we're doing.
I have had, when the SGF was my governor, I had written to him, including Governor Suswam. I wrote to him that I don't need salary, but that I have knowledge to be able to support the state. I wrote application for appointment. People were laughing. So he said, I didn't ask for money. I said no.
You just wanted to contribute.
Yes,
you want to add value. Yes, add value.
Just want to contribute, and people were laughing. So I agree with you. They found it very strange when he was governor. And he said, oh, they work this work you are doing, the publishing, your color is changing. Just go and rest. And there are people who genuinely want to make contributions.
But they
So
don't know
do you
how
look for
to
them?
go about it, and
How
they
do
are
you
not
find them?
politicians.
And they are shy.
Yes, and you know, most people who get appointment now are those who contributed to the campaign. You know, but if we are, you know, there's this argument that if we are really practicing the presidential system of government, which the US is practicing, you know, once a person is declared a candidate of a party that is going for the presidential election, you find out that he already has a team. He already has script writers, he already has his lobbyists. You know, this is something we miss in this in Nigerian government. Lobbyists, people who lobby for people who are competent to come and serve a government for the collective good of the country. How can we get to that point?
Well, I think how do we get there? We will look forward to the president's address tomorrow, you know, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is better positioned. Even his mantra of Renew Hope agenda, I think what we look forward to tomorrow is to rekindle the hope. Interestingly, he brought back the old national anthem. So I look forward to the president to hail Nigeria and Nigerians tomorrow. Hail Nigerians and Nigerians, that we have survived 64 years, regardless of what we have. This is not a failed nation. And it should also hail Nigerians that it's part of the challenges. Nigerians are still committed, you know, to the task of nation building. I also look forward to the president tomorrow to underscore the importance of democracy.
Yes.
We shouldn't take this for granted. You know, 25 years of democracy. Yeah, but Prof, maybe what we need to do is quality control of this democracy. We've produced presidents, we produce governors, you know, but we need to translate to good governance, introduce, and that is about integrity of our elections. But what I even want the president to let people know is that we've come a long way. That democracy may not be perfect, but the alternative to imperfect democracy is more democracy, not less. We can't return to anybody who doesn't have our mandate. I think we need to underscore that. Then, I think the last one is what you have already raised. Tomorrow should also be an opportunity, you know, to amplify some of those progress that we have made as a nation. You know, I'm from Labour, you know, that's my background. And I can say that there are challenges of unemployment. You know, our youth, they have all the certificates, BA, MC, MSc, PhD, but they don't have the rate certificate, which is JOB, jobs. You know, but there are also some merits that we are making some progress.
And skills.
So, and skills, you know, President's even committed to what they call skill upgrade, you know, which is fine. So, but we should also underscore this minimum wage, which had just been signed. Very, very important, because honestly speaking, we need highly motivated workforce. Am I communicating? Yes. You know, and we should be well remunerated. But that we even have a new minimum wage, 60 in this since Nigeria started this business. It's significant. It's significant. And we did so through negotiation, freedom of association, assembly.
So when does it take effect?
So I think the template is out now, effective from...
Is it July or May?
I think it's July. And that was also agreed
no longer
by the
May.
president.
No.
Yes.
July
I also watched the CNG buses, which have just been delivered to some section of labor, road transport. I hope we will make that one to be national, to be everywhere.
Okay.
So I think we have to raise the hope that, yet there are challenges, some progress has been made. You know, all we need to do is to consolidate that better. But that requires constant communication.
Okay, we have to consolidate on the gains that we already have now. And like you said, for democracy, you need more democracy.
Just the last one. You know, we're a bit too insular, even in terms of our foreign policy. I think we should talk about that. I was happy the president made a case for us to be on the Security Council.
Yes.
Nigeria deserves that.
Those are some of the
peacekeeping for 42 years.
We don't have more time now.
That will be part of the conversation tomorrow.
We have more conversation tomorrow. We have a long conversation tomorrow, and some of these issues will be discussed. We know that tomorrow is your birthday. Tomorrow is your birthday.
I'm not going to ask you how old you're going to be.
He's an independent, independent baby.
So we're talking to independent Dr.
Independent,
That's why she's so passionate about Nigeria.
Yeah, you see this, the person who made this for me, I was supposed to use it for my 60th birthday.
Okay.
She was born in 1960. She lives in Okene. So the question I've been asking them, I say, so when will you bring such a woman from Okene to come for a program like this? Because it makes more sense. Because she was born in 1960. And she's making this. She made 4 sets for me. And she made something very beautiful. So right there, she's so patriotic. She's so generous. And she made it very cheap. Very cheap.
Okay.
So how can she benefit? How would she
so
be part of the celebration at the villa? And why are they always hiding inside the villa to do this?
Yeah, we have to make independence not low-key. It has to be high-key.
Like we used to know you before with our socks.
I want to thank NTA for making independence high.
So let me just ask you one question before I sign you off.
Okay.
What birthday gift are you expecting from the president tomorrow?
Just for him to tell politicians, you need to behave well according to this chapter 2, section 23 of the Constitution. Good behavior that will make people happy. I want people to eat. My name, NM, means mother. You cannot be happy when your children are hungry.
All right. Thank you very much, the mother.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Ede, thank you so much. Education journalist, human rights and development advocacy professional. Thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
It's my pleasure.
And thank you for your contribution. Well, Professor Nuhu Yakub is the former Vice Chancellor, University of Abuja and Sokoto. Thank you so much, sir, for your contribution.
You're welcome.
And comrade, as usual, we thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank NTA for making independence the not low-key but high-key.
Yeah, comrade. This is our Director General Michael Imodu, National Institute of Labor Studies. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for contributing immensely to this conversation. The conversation continues tomorrow. Don't forget to join us. I am Juma Yusuf.
And I'm Ademola. Do have a fabulous day.